Hey there guys, today I am going to be making a video responding to a quite ableist podcast episode that somebody made. I came across it the other day and I immediately recognised the woman that they were talking about, and they were being rude about her condition and her appearance, so I contacted the lady and just said, in case you don't know, there's people talking about you on this video, and I sent it to them. But I also felt the need to do a public response to what they said about the condition and stuff, because it's really not okay, and the misinformation they're spreading to a large audience affects the whole tic community. So I wanted to just respond to it and explain why they're wrong and why what they're saying is both misinformation and highly discriminatory.
Tourette's. And Tourette's is when somebody can just start cursing for no reason. Or they be twitching. Something like that.
Okay, so this first bit where they say there's something called Tourette's, it's where people start cursing for no reason. That's not necessarily true. The swearing tics are called coprolalia, but they only affect between 10 and 15% of people with Tourette's. So that is not actually the definition of what Tourette's is, it's just one possible symptom, but it's a rare one. The way they say twitching, something like that, that's not a very good description. You can tell that they don't really know what they're going on about just off the bat.
Have you ever had it?
No, I ain't never had it, but I heard of it.
Have you ever dated a woman with Tourette?
No.
Oh,
I don't even
Lord.
think I've ever even seen anybody in person with Tourette's.
I haven't either, not that I'm aware of.
Where the guy says they don't think that they've ever seen anybody with Tourette's, they actually probably have, because Tourette syndrome affects 1 in 100 people. But the thing is, like, sometimes if you are always expecting someone to be swearing, then you're probably not going to identify it as Tourette's, but you may have come across someone with it and just not realised. And as well as that, people don't necessarily tic all the time, and so they may have Tourette's, but you just didn't see them tic. Or they may be suppressing their tics, which is harmful, by the way.
A young Australian woman says her Tourette's syndrome causes her to punch and scratch the people she loves. So if this is love, I don't want it. If this is love, I don't want it.
Where the guy says, if this is love, I don't want it, I mean, that's his, view, obviously. People don't want to be hit or scratched or anything, but it's also important to know that the person with tics doesn't want to be doing that either. I have tics where I hit out at people and it's not nice, but of course we can't control it, and we're still worthy of love. We can't control it, and the thing is, in a relationship, you work together to overcome issues that you face. So with teamwork, you problem solve, you find strategies to cope with it all.
When we first met Bianca and her parents John and Lee, this was a family torn apart by Tourette's. The illness forcing Bianca to be placed in a mental health unit.
The lady which they are speaking about in this video was in a mental health unit for their tics, even though tics aren't actually a mental health issue, but they were in a mental health unit, apparently. And this lady also got brain surgery for their tics. And it's really unfair how this person has been through so much. It's probably, more than the people doing this podcast could ever imagine. And they think they have the right to judge when they don't understand even a tiny fraction of what she's been through.
Heartache and desperation led the Sayers family to this groundbreaking surgery, eradicating most of the tics.
You good?
Yeah. Bianca's transformation in those early days after her surgery was remarkable. But within a fortnight, Bianca was struck down by terrible luck, a staph infection, which ultimately led to the removal of the life-changing electrodes, allowing the Tourette's symptoms to return.
Amazing. Yeah, it's a chemical imbalance, all right. Y'all ain't seen nothing yet.
It's really upsetting that they showed the clips of this lady really struggling, having the surgery, getting the infection from the surgery, dealing with some really debilitating symptoms, and they just laugh. Like, why would you laugh at someone suffering like that?
Living her own life with a tough condition. All credit to her. It's a real condition you have no control of. Yeah, good on her.
Ain't that much love in the world. You slap me? What's up?
Can I say something? I've been holding it in this whole time.
I bet you have. Go ahead.
I think that she's just been set up, and like like you say, I ain't no professional, I ain't no expert on medical stuff, but when you tell somebody that you have a condition and it can't be fixed and it's a chemical imbalance, that just seems like a setup to me. It just seems like they set her up, and not purposely. The parents believe it too. It seems like.
Where they say that it's a setup, that's kind of implying that they're faking, because they also said that they think the parents believe it. Why would someone fake something that causes them to get brain surgery that could potentially threaten their life and get the infection which could potentially threaten their life? Why would someone fake something that would put them in a psych ward, taken away from their family? These people obviously have no empathy or compassion. Like, people with Tourette's can't control what they do or say as a tic, but these men can control what they say. What's their excuse? Because they're using their voice to spread misinformation and hate. I would say that that's a worse disorder than having tics, for me personally. I would rather have tics than be like that and be that judgmental.
Yeah.
I can't imagine black people even telling, in the black community, I can't imagine black people saying that their kids have Tourette's.
There are people with Tourette's of any race, like any skin color. It doesn't discriminate. Like, you can get it regardless of the culture you're from, regardless of your race.
And ain't no way in the world you're going to sit on my lap and slap me.
Well, she's not going to, because hopefully she's not going to come near people who are as ignorant as you and may treat her badly for something she can't control.
And this thing about chemical imbalance.
Yeah.
As far as I know, it has never been recorded anywhere. How do they know chemical? What does that mean, chemical imbalance?
The reason that it's thought to be a chemical imbalance is because antipsychotic medication, which I believe reduces dopamine, is effective for some people with tics. It's not a cure and it doesn't work for everyone, but in some cases the medication that reduces dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter in the brain, is used, and that's why it's thought that in some cases it's linked to a chemical imbalance. But there are other physical things associated with it, so genetics, there are a few genes associated with it. Histamine is associated with it. Brain inflammation, there was a study comparing the brain scans of people with Tourette's and pandas, and brain inflammation was found in both, however, in different sections of the basal ganglia, which is the part of the brain affected by Tourette's and pandas.
If there is a cure for this, she better want it. Did she say she didn't want a cure for it?
I didn't hear it on the clips.
Nick told me that in the writings, she said she didn't want a cure for it. As long as she can smack you in the face, you're all right.
They said if there's a cure for this, she better want it, but in the video she did say that she would do anything to be free from it, and she had brain surgery, which is like the last resort for a lot of people. So of course she doesn't want to be doing those things. She did get brain surgery for it, and if she now says she doesn't want a cure, it's because she has accepted that the brain surgery didn't work, the medications don't work. Her only choice is to accept it rather than like be upset all the time. Sometimes acceptance is what sets you free.
What?
I would keep her at, she had to stay at home.
Where they say she has to stay at home, unfortunately, a lot of people with Tourette's do, like, isolate themselves from the world and, like, shut themselves away and are afraid to go out. But at the same time, we're people just like anybody else. Anybody could develop tics, and we can't just be expected to stay at home all the time. We do need to go to the bank and stuff, go outside and socialise for our mental health. We do need to go to shops sometimes, etc. We do need to go to school. We do need to work if we are physically able to work. No, we're not just going to stay home all the time.
In the first clips, she almost seemed a little possessed. There was a little.
I know. That's what I was thinking. She got a demon in her. That girl need to be rebuked. Somebody need to lay hands on her.
I don't mean to be disrespectful to any religion or anything. The main podcaster is a pastor, but Tourette's and tic disorders are not possession. If it was possession, it would be really weird because tics can say random things. For example, I say beans, I've said spinach over and over again. If it was a possession, you would think they would be a lot more creative than to make you say a random word of a food over and over again. As well as this, some tics can be positive. Of course, like, there are the hitting ones, there are the swearing ones in some cases, but I also have tics where I tell people I love them and where I kiss walls, which is a bit strange, but still, loving tics do exist, so it's obviously not possession by a negative entity, because why would they also do positive things?
And it's funny, she started out young and beautiful, and she ended up looking just like her mama.
Yeah.
Big old fat, look like her mama.
How dare they call her fat? Like, that's not even relevant, but what the heck? That's so rude. They obviously don't have any loving intention. And it's also important to know that Tourette's medications can cause weight gain, like the antipsychotics can have the side effect of weight gain. Okay, so that was really hard to watch. It's really inappropriate, and I don't know why they thought it was okay to make this podcast episode basically saying it's a setup or saying she's possessed or insulting her. It's extremely disrespectful, and what's even more upsetting is this person has a lot of subscribers. I think, it's 328,000. This person obviously doesn't understand, and it's really upsetting that they are really treating the person like an object, having no empathy or compassion, and just laughing about her struggle, like thinking it's okay to make a podcast episode, not to educate, but literally just to look down on her and treat her like she's an object. It's really, really horrible. I did report this video, and so did my dad, but as of yet, YouTube has not taken it down. And although overall I respect freedom of speech, I would say I respect freedom of speech as long as it has a loving intention. And the problem is, I definitely don't see this as having a loving intention, specifically not loving towards the individual with Tourette's.
He's about, oh, that's love. That ain't no love.